Hi YouTube friends! Today we are going to be doing some fall projects. I have lots of paint here and let's get started. Well, today we're going to be making over several things that I had in the basement and finally getting around to chalk painting them. I don't know if you've ever used chalk paint before, but my favorite brand is Rust-Oleum. I have linen white, aged gray, and Tate green. My good friend Krista over at Meeker Home and DIY used the same technique for a planter for her yard. She mixed some white along with a gray. I also have some glazing compound. I do not have grout, but that's what I had on hand. It says online you can use it for texture. My gray seems a bit on the runny side. I have probably had that for a long time as opposed to the white, which I go through quite a bit. I have chalk painted so many pieces of furniture in my home. Blue china cabinet. I have a Victrola upstairs that I found at a yard sale for $10. It was missing most of the pieces, so I took the metal to the recycling place and ended up getting about $11 in recycling parts. So basically the furniture ended up being free. I have chalk painted a black table in my living room. I have chalk painted some furniture upstairs in my granddaughter's room. We used the Tate green. This is a really lovely shade. We used that on a fireplace mantle that my husband built. That is upstairs in my office. And I actually use that to store my YouTube equipment, cameras and such. Well, let's get started on this one. This one has a lot of beautiful detail to it. I'm not quite sure how the joint compound will work. It's very glazed and shiny, so I'm going to try to add a little texture to it. Probably just a little on the flowers, and pretty new to YouTubing, so this is my first time actually using two cameras, so please bear with me if I get it a little messed up. Yeah, the texture is just going to go on the floral. There's this one here we are also going to redo. I paid $1.99 at Goodwill for that. The other project we're going to redo, I paid 99 cents for this large artichoke. Never liked the color, but I really wanted to do something with this for quite a while. So since it is fall, I decided it is a great time to get some fall DIYs. So we will be working on this. And afterward, I am going to record my first YouTube haul. This will be the first one that I will be putting on YouTube. So kind of excited about that. I find so many treasures at the thrift store. It's hard to resist. We are redoing our 1840s home. We've been in here not quite 2 years, but a lot of the decor from the previous home just does not look good. So slowly going to the thrift store and garage sales and anywhere I can, to Facebook Marketplace of course, anywhere to find bargains. I think I should probably let this one dry a little bit. Okay. I mixed a little gray with white. I'm going to try to do it similarly to what Krista did on Meeker Home and DIY and use similar colors. I know she used a plastic planter, so her paint probably went on a little bit different than what mine is going to, considering these are so glazed and shiny. I am probably going to paint the first coat on all the pieces and let it start drying. There is some crazing on this, which is kind of nice. But I'm not really a big fan of yellow, trying to make it look a little concrete. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure there are no runs. Yeah, that gray paint was a lot runnier. Usually my chalk paint is much thicker. But just go over it, make sure you've caught all the runs. If not, they can always be sanded off later. I'm just gonna do the little lip on here. You never know what could be seen on here. I'm sure I probably won't use it for a candle. I wanted to use it for a riser actually. Okay, see? That took just a couple minutes. Look how fast that went. Okay, we're going to let this one dry. I just have them on my table right now drying on a wooden board, and you will probably see it in many of my videos. It's basically a vinyl heart tablecloth that I got at Dollar General just to use to cover my table when I'm doing projects. So let's get out the thicker brush for this, since there's a lot of detail on this artichoke. Stolium paint usually lasts in the basement a long time. I believe the color, I don't know if I said yet, was used on a china cabinet that I have upstairs that I mercury glassed. Well, I gave it a mercury glass look on the clear glass, and it was painted a soft gray at our old house. And now I did it in white. I'm not sure if I like it, but I still love the mercury glass. And it's been turned into sort of an armoire upstairs. So we're just stippling it on. Let me make sure you guys can see this. We do not really have any storage in our home since it's from the 1840s. We have one closet in our entire home. Let me move this brush out of the way. So therefore, the closet that we have is upstairs, and it's got suitcases in it, and on one side it is in the grandkids' room, and that is where my husband's clothes go that get hung up, coats and things like that. And then on the other side, on my office/closet, that is where I have more suitcases. I keep a sewing machine in there, a little portable one. My clothing that needs hung up. There's a shelf, so things get stored up there. Things get stored underneath the clothing. But that is the only closet in our entire home. So when it's like that, you have to get pretty creative with storage. So the china cabinet, I have 3. So that's my 3rd china cabinet. Later on, you guys will see the blue one in the dining room, and the one that my husband actually did, the green one. I will try to insert a clip of that. The green one with chalk paint, well, we are going to be working on that one during my next video is going to be a fall decorate with me, so you will see that china cabinet that my husband chalk painted. He worked many hours on it, did a special technique with Vaseline, and put several different colors on. But the back is beadboard, which we painted like a soft blue to go with the pea green color of the china cabinet, and that might be getting wallpapered, the beadboard part. So I'm excited about that. I went to Dollar Tree. I don't usually find many things there, especially for your home. But I found these peel and stick vinyl contact paper sheets, and what I did was I just kind of laid them in the back of the cabinet to get an idea of what it looked like. They have birds on them. They're actually kind of pretty, but they do have like a little bit of a metallic shine here and there, but it's not too obvious. But once I saw them, I just had it in my heart that I need to wallpaper back there. I don't think my husband's going to like it, but I'm going to wallpaper the back. I have some William Morris wallpaper coming in from Amazon on Thursday, and that's going to be one of the next projects. So really excited about that. It feels really good to be getting some of this painting done, some of these projects that just stick around forever. And when you get so many that you really want to do and you're kind of torn and you're all over the place sometimes in life, it just feels good to feel like you've got something accomplished. And now these are out of the basement. They no longer will need painted. They will be done. We'll see how they turn out. Yes, this gray paint is definitely runny from being old, but that's probably my oldest chalk paint. Most of my chalk paint, I'm constantly replenishing the main colors, and they are always gone. Well, I'll try to give you a closer look. I'll tip it upside down. So it's just kind of, I didn't get in every groove. I want some of that to show. So anyway, this went on a little thicker, and we'll just let that one dry. And well, we'll go back to this one, the one with the flower detail. I'm gonna set it down there so you guys can see it a little better. No, that's worse. Let's scooch you up. Okay, so now we're gonna get one coat on this. I know my design style has changed over the years. When I was young, the first thing I usually bought, my style back then was kind of Queen Anne. Everything was a dark red cherry and very dark colors that I just liked them because they looked kind of antique and kind of curved-legged and kind of feminine, and they looked expensive. I kind of have expensive taste. My mom always said she wondered if I was adopted, even though I was not. Yeah, sometimes your taste can be so much more different than your parents, but my style has definitely evolved. So I am back to my first love, antiques, and now English cottage, or elegant cottage, sometimes I've heard it called, where I feel like it's sort of a mixture of simple along with cottage, but then a little bit more elevated, like old money, European, a little moody. The colors in my home, when we bought the paint, we went to Menards and they were having an amazing amazing sales, so the paint for this home was kind of a last minute idea, but it was so cheap, so we just grabbed many gallons of white. And my husband said, of course we can bring them back and tint them later. Do you think that happened? So anyway, we were making so many decisions on this home. We had purchased it, for those that don't know, we purchased it 5 years ago and we only moved in less than 2. So we have done a lot of projects and we have a lot of future video on everything we have done in our home. I'm just gonna leave the bottom. So a lot of the things that did go with the other home do not go with this. Yeah, basically where I was going with that was that we ended up with all white walls, which do look gorgeous. I mean, I have a hard time choosing between all white, which I love, and also color. So I kind of have both things married in this house. It's a lot of white along with color as the accents, but sometimes it's really hard. So I'm dying to get a little more color in our home now that we've lived in it for a while, trying to decide what I can paint. We stripped wallpaper in the whole front of our house. Every room had layers and layers of wallpaper, of course. So, but I'm wanting to do something, add some more color, more texture. So we shall see. Anyway, I think that one looks pretty good too. That's the third one. I have this. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Tell me what you think. It's kind of a beigey color. I know I got this at Goodwill too. I love all the detail on it. It's a big bowl. I usually put moss balls in it. I'm trying to decide if I want to change the color or not. What do you guys think? So anyway, while these 3 pieces are drying, I think we'll do our thrift haul. Well, I forgot about one more project that we had today. I actually got these at Dollar Tree, of all places. I got this one. Sorry, let me go get the other one. I actually got this one with a fruit pattern. They're on like a pretend canvas and they look very vintage. And this one for fall, it's got like a bird on it and a vase with orange type of florals. Well, you can probably guess what I'm going to do with this. I have my beautiful thrifted frame. It had so much cat hair on it, it was crazy. We're going to remove it off of these little pretend wood pieces with a staple puller, and we're going to add it to the frame. Very simple. Oh, the staple puller made it a piece of cake. Oops, well, spoke too soon. That was a little more tight. I don't know if any of you have a lot of frames, but I have a frame stash. I have in my bedroom for storage, I have an older coffee table that has caning on it with a solid wood top. That's now at the end of my bed, and it holds all the smaller frames and also my cookbooks, which might sound funny, but they're in 2 big binders. And I have so much glassware in my kitchen, even though I have a lot of cabinets. I have so much glassware in my kitchen that I have no room for the cookbooks. I basically like to print all my recipes and then put them in order in a binder. Just makes it feel neater, and of course they're sorted by category and just easier to find. Well, I have one that's a little on the tight side. Well, the first few came off really easy, and if I tear it a little bit it won't matter because this is going to be... I wonder if I should have just laid the glass on top and just cut it, marked it and cut it. Well, we'll get this off. Just kind of pry it off. There's the pretend wood. Okay, now we're left with our print. I have the glass from my frame, so I'm just going to place it on top to where I like what I see. Kind of center it, center the fruit, the top and bottom. There, I think that looks good. Maybe up a little. I have a black perma marker. It's my husband's. We were out of the one with a fine tip, and this is the wide tip. So it's kind of awkward to work with, but I'm sure it'll still be fine. I'm just going to draw all around the glass, kind of holding the glass a little firmly. It's a little slippery, but if it's off a tiny bit, I'm sure it won't matter. The frame would cover any of that. I was really surprised to see these at Dollar Tree. I really like this print. It's very moody. The colors go with my home. Perfect for fall. You can't beat it for $1.25 now that they're not $1 anymore. What I'm going to do is cut this out, and then I'm going to actually reuse the glass. I'm going to put the glass behind it so that it has a little bit of strength and stays in the frame nice. Be nice to see how this turns out. So then you just cut along the edges, of course, where you marked it. If you like your children to help with things, this would be a great little project for them to help you decorate your home. Get them used to decorating and homemaking. And anytime I do anything different in the house, she notices immediately if I move anything. We were talking about storage earlier, and her toy box is a big wicker basket, well, trunk that I found at Goodwill, 2 of them, and they hold her toys. And I usually kept it in front of the front door so that it was in the living room for her, and I moved it to the bedroom so it would be out of the way. We don't use the front door, we use the side door, but that's a topic for another day. I say it's the side door, and my husband and daughter say it's the front door, but it's on the side of the property, so it's the side door. I know I'm right. So anyway, I moved it to right inside our bedroom in the door, and the moment she came in, within seconds, where's my toys? So they notice every little thing. They notice your attitude, they notice when you're happy, they notice when you're sad. They notice when you decorate your house even. I'm going to have to get a roller for the back of this. I don't think you can see it. I wiped it with a baby wipe, but that person must have had a little kitty because there's so much hair on it. Okay, I'm just going to lay this frame flat and then put the glass behind the print. Well, the moment of truth. Let's see what this looks like. It's a little wavy. I don't know if let me just flatten it a little bit. I think this came with some sort of cardboard or something too. Maybe that would help. I think I should go grab the Mod Podge from the basement and Mod Podge it onto the glass. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Well, actually, I have not crafted in such a long time. We're always busy working on major house projects, so crafting is kind of a luxury. And I don't usually do too many of the tiny ones, but I do like painting things like this. What does it say? Dries clear. All right, I think I'm just gonna brush a little of this all over the glass. Just use a small one. Usually I keep the glass behind some of my prints that I save the glass even though I don't use it. Some of my prints I feel look more vintage if they don't have the glass in front of them. Makes them look more like an oil painting. I've also seen where they take Mod Podge and kind of put it all over the front. Actually, that would be a good idea for this one. And kind of just brush all over and make it look like brush strokes, and it gives the cheap thing a little texture. Maybe I'll use that. We'll test it out for $1.25. If not, I'll just go get another one of these. So we'll just get some of this glue on here. Smear it all on. So let me know if your decorating style has changed over the years or decades, depending on how old you are. What you liked when you were young. Do you like to even decorate? Do you like to craft? Emma's other grandmother is a huge crafter. She actually has a YouTube channel also. And she basically, we don't decorate anything alike. She decorates more primitive, but she always wins at the state fair. She does these little miniatures, and I do not have the patience for anything that tedious or small, but she makes miniatures and wreaths and fake food. I don't know, but she wins and she's very talented. So if you like primitive decor, I can link her channel. Her name is Teresa from Tea Time. Yeah, she goes all out. Some of us have a problem with decor, but I am trying to minimize a little bit more and be more selective. Only get the things I really love, things that maybe look a little more expensive while I'm doing a Dollar Tree craft for you. But anyway, things that people might not think are inexpensive because you've filled your home with so many timeless items that they just assume everything costs more. As an example, my curtains in my whole house, they're actually twin sheets. I have them in every room except for one area in the dining room. That's where we have the stone stored for the bottom half of our fireplace. Let's just smooth this on. This is going to look much better. There are 12 boxes or so of brick. I should say brick, not stone. About 12 boxes of brick where we are going to do the bottom half of our chimney. We vaulted our ceilings and exposed our chimney and raised the back half of our house to have 14-foot ceilings. Originally the kitchen only had 7 foot. So when we removed the drywall in the kitchen on the ceiling, we exposed original timber beams from the 1840s. We have since added beams everywhere in the house and exposed the original beams along the ceiling and everywhere that we could. So that is kind of the reason why it took us over 3 years to move in. If you want to see that video, I can link that. It's kind of, I can laugh now, but it wasn't so funny at the time. Well, let's look at this project. That looks better. It's smooth. I think I'm going to take it out and let it dry, and then I won't have to worry about it shifting a little bit. So pretty. I think it could use a little bit of little tiny piece of cardboard in the back to make it a little stiffer, but what do you guys think? Here's my fancy, beautiful. See, just a little bit of trial and error. This is the next frame, of course, from Goodwill as well. Does anybody else have a frame stash? I know Sarah from She Holds Dearly has a frame stash. I always hear her talk about it, and I wonder if people think that we're odd that we have a frame stash, but there's so many things that I love to look for at the thrift stores. Frames, dark baskets if they look a little old. I have a beautiful antique laundry basket above my washer and dryer that's actually in the kitchen. Our basement is really bad here. We were able to save the boxes for the cabinetry, but we refaced the whole outside of them. We made new door and drawer fronts, shaker inset. On the other side, there were no cabinets and the fridge kind of hung by itself on a wall. He made cabinetry all along that wall. There is a cabinet that holds my washer and dryer behind shaker inset doors, so nobody would even know it was there. It's up and down. We added some venting above so that it could breathe. And then next to that, there's a big cabinet that I went and bought laundry baskets, and he designed it to fit several laundry baskets and my laundry supplies. And next to that, the fridge is kind of built in with a panel and a cabinet above it. It's all one strip now, but above the washer and dryer cabinet, I have a beautiful antique basket that I got for $5. I have it filled with hydrangeas and a little bit of Queen's Anne lace and a little bit of velvet ribbon. Looks very pretty. In the winter, sometimes I'll put little twinkle lights up there, something kind of really minor. I don't want it to look too out of place because I don't think they had twinkle lights in the 1800s, but there's so many things that I love looking for at the thrift store. Still on the hunt for a really old typewriter. I found one at one point at a neighbor having a yard sale, but I knew my daughter really wanted it, so she has it. And of course, there are always the times where you're going to get something and then you don't. And at Habitat, they had a beautiful old typewriter similar to hers for $25, and I don't know why I didn't get it. I think about that almost daily. Well, not daily. So now I'm still on Facebook Marketplace, and everywhere I go for the last few years, still looking for that elusive black typewriter. Do you guys have anything that you really love to thrift, or that you look for when you go thrifting, or that you have on a wish list for thrifting? This one is almost off. It came off a little easier than the other one. Okay, I'm going to do the same procedure. Getting back to the other projects, it only looks like one is dry, so at some point I could at least get one coat on one of the pieces. The two with the texture definitely are a little wet, since that gray paint was a little on the runny side. Usually chalk paint dries extremely quick. If you've never used chalk paint, it's amazing. You don't have to sand your furniture. Clean it, of course, a little bit, you know, to get any gunk or grime off, but yeah, there is no sanding involved. You just basically put it on. It takes sometimes 2 coats. People always say 1, but I've never found that to be the case. Usually it's 2 coats. Very easy to work with, very friendly, water washable, it wipes off your hands right away. The Rust-Oleum has been one of my favorites. Dutch Boy used to make a chalk paint. Actually, when I went to get some for the fireplace upstairs that we were repainting, that was from my old house, and it was sort of like a brighter blue with a little bit of black behind it. I wanted to repaint it here. That is what I said was in my office, holding my cameras and tripods and all of that. Well, I picked the most beautiful shade of green, took it to the store, and Dutch Boy always made custom chalk paint, at least at Menards. I should have thought to go to Home Depot because I think they still make the custom paint there. At Menards, they didn't do that anymore, so I wanted to get it done, and sometimes you have to move forward on projects even if it's not what you want. So I wound up getting Tate Green Rust-Oleum, and it does look very pretty in there. It's a very matte color, so I do like it. If you want custom color, I'm pretty sure that Home Depot and maybe Lowe's still do that. You just pick out your color and they'll make it into the whatever chalk paint that they carry there. Do you think I should have the bird in this? I'm trying to decide. I've got between the bird, maybe I'll do part of the bird and center the vase. I know part of it's going to be cut off with a frame. Trying to visually see what looks best. It's so difficult, guys. Well, I think we're going with this. Next time I go to Dollar General or somewhere, I have to get a much finer tip. Remove the glass. That was used as your template. And then you can see you just gotta cut the square. This time I'm going to cut it inside the line of the marker, although I'm sure you guys know that. That would probably be more accurate as to where the glass was at. Told you, I haven't crafted in a long time, and this really isn't a craft, but to me it is. Kind of nice to get a cute piece of artwork for $1.25, and then with your thrifted frame, somewhere even $2 or $3 for your beautiful frames, but no one will ever know. Anyway, I don't know if I finished my curtain story. Just in the dining room, the one window does not have the curtains because of the boxes of brick, but they are in every room of the house, including the grandkids. I'm also going to put them at the top of the basement landing when we redo that area. Getting back to the point, people just assume that things might be expensive because your decor looks expensive. I would just much rather get something used and quality and older that's made well, rather than go say a box store and just getting decor everybody has and that you see in everybody else's home. I want something that's unique to my home, something that makes me smile when I look at it. Fall home tour, or even maybe during the fall decorate with me, I will be showing you my only two really antique pictures that I have. One was about at a little local thrift store not far from here, and the other one was from a garage sale, and I missed the first day. I bought several things from them. An antique crate. I bought a piece of furniture that's on my porch. I'll try to link that picture for $5. They didn't want to keep it and we're tired of seeing it. And that picture with blown glass, it was so old. I think she had $2 on it. I love it. The mat was kind of brown, kind of ugly, so I resprayed the mat black. The backing was falling apart. I had to get a new piece of cardboard. It had an old wooden backer on the back in two pieces that was coming apart. It's like a lithograph. Anyway, you'll see that in the upcoming tour, so you have to watch my next video now. I'll try to get a close-up for you guys. There, that's good. All right, much better. Anyway, that's project number 2. The first thing though is not for the house, but I know this brand, my friend said it's popular, but I think it was $3, $2.99 or $3. I hated paying that much for it. Look at that green velvet, it is so pretty. I keep my change in here. Found this at the thrift store for about $3, I believe, and it has this hook. Okay, that's really funny. I can't remember how this worked. Well, it's sort of like a macrame hanger, only out of metal, with this beautiful glass globe. Well, that's really silly. For the life of me, I can't remember how that went, but it did look pretty and it was hanging in the store. I'm sure I'll figure it out later and you'll see it when I decorate. This was $3.29. The cobalt's a little brighter than what I decorate with, but I thought it was pretty and it came with a lid. Here's the rust. Yeah, okay, now I remember. Obviously, it's been a while since I looked at this. I got this probably a couple months ago, but I thought it was so unique. I've never seen one like this. I recently had a beautiful old vase. I have several pictures in my home of this vase. I don't know if it's from the 20s or 30s. I ended up being able to save the little metal ring that was on the glass vase. It was on my table in the living room and a big gust of wind came through the window. We had the window open and I had some faux peonies in it and it blew off the table and landed on the carpet and shattered into a lot of pieces. And it's hard when you find something that unusual. It's really hard to try to replace it. Figured it out. Isn't that pretty? Can't wait to hang that somewhere. Look how pretty that is. At least I figured out how to put it together. I forgot about the little piece. Oops. Oh, they sound crystal, don't they? This beautiful pair of candlesticks. They were $2.29 each. Usually they're sold in a pair. I'm really into this cut crystal look. But that is for my Christmas tablescape. Are you sensing a slight glassware theme? Well, stay tuned, there's more. And these were 99 cents each. They are not very big, a little bit shorter than my hand. I just thought they would be pretty, and I actually have some taller water glasses that are similar. I think I got 6 of those. 1, 2. I might as well take them out because they need to go in the dishwasher. They've been in a box since I haven't filmed the thrift haul yet. So now I can finally unpack some of this stuff. It's like Christmas to me. They always wrap everything so nicely at my Goodwill. People might think 99 cents is so pricey, but stuff like this just looks so timeless and elegant. Ah, forgot about what this one was. Are you guys still sensing the theme? Yeah, this one definitely looks a little dirty. $129, just a little bud vase. So that's it for the thrift haul for today. I think we're gonna get back to our DIYs, and this one has pretty much dried. So I think we're gonna start on that next. Sometimes I use sticks so that I can do the bottom of things. I have some other colors downstairs that are darker, but we'll just go with this and put some in and see if it lightens since we already have white in there. My painting stick to kind of get in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, however this turns out, the colors. I'm sure it'll look better than it did. Give it a little dimension. They were very one-dimensional. Mix this up. I'll just use my brush that I already had in there. The baby wipes near me when I paint. Maybe I'll just dip it right out of the can. We'll try that. I don't know if that'll be a little darker or not. We'll just move this because I have to do lighter again at the end. So maybe we'll just use that again. Let's see how this turns out. I'm gonna be doing my fall decorating soon, so I decided to keep on pants and an apron and just finish this up today. Want to look nice for fall decorating, so I'll be wearing a dress, and as I said, I'm a very sloppy painter. I'm not one of these women you'll see painting in dresses unless I have a very long apron on, and even with this I'm still getting paint everywhere. So let's get this piece coated. Okay, just gonna see if you got everything. I think I'm gonna have to put my hair in a clip or I'm going to wind up with paint in my hair. My husband promised me if I grew my hair longer that he would cut his beard. Well, my hair is almost down to my waist and he still has the beard. It's just hard to take care of sometimes when it's this long, even though I love it. It just does have a bit of a wave, so sometimes just washing it and letting it curl up on its own is great too. All right, well, I think that piece is done. And then you'll also sand this when you're done. I might sand it lightly. The one I'm more excited about would be the artichoke, and that's looking kind of good. It's kind of looking like a concrete color. Trying to get it to look a little bit like this. I don't know if you can see the detail. Probably not focusing. Let's try over here. There, look at the detail in that. I love this heavy concrete vase. Actually, Krista from Meeker Home and DIY has the same one. We have good taste. Let's start on this one. I'm just going to lightly cover it. Yeah, this gray isn't too much difference, but maybe it'll end up looking more of a concrete kind of color, and we'll do some white for highlights. I have these brushes that I love the most, and these are what I use on everything, the little angled brushes. That's what I do all my chalk painting with. And chalk paint dries kind of flat, which is, I kind of like that instead of having a sheen to it. Just gonna kind of dry brush it just to get another layer on it. I can see a little bit of the texture from that joint compound, so that's nice. Just gonna give the top another quick coat. Yeah, it kind of looks like a concrete color. I don't know if I do that, if it'll make it look like a little bit of texture, if I just kind of dab it maybe. That kind of looks good. Just let it dry. There, actually I kind of like that. It is also still a little damp near the bottom. It's a little shiny, but I think that'll be okay. And then when it's done, Krista recommends going in with a little bit of white for highlights. I can see that, so, because right now it's looking pretty concrete. Yeah, the other one, the first one I just did a second coat, might not look as pretty, but the ones with more detail definitely look more textured, but it looks better than being yellow. We're going to put it on a board on the table, on that heart tablecloth. And it's funny, I'm not a big fan of hearts, and I don't really care for red. So every time I see that tablecloth, I don't feel happy. Okay, let's give this some texture. We're just gonna dab it on and probably leave a little bit of the dark showing through here and there. And then I have green up here too, so I might dab a little bit of green on when these dry, and then a little bit of white at the end. I have to find out about these cameras. My second camera keeps saying it's going in some kind of out of automatic movie making mode, my Canon, and it's shut off a couple times on me, and I've replaced the battery, but I realize if I just hit start again, it actually keeps going. So hopefully my Lumix over here is actually recording, because the light is blinking and it's set online. That means your battery is dying, but we shall see. Yeah, these aren't going to dry as quickly as chalk paint normally does on furniture where you want a nice smooth finish, because I'm adding so much texture to these and they have a lot of detail, so of course the grooves and everything are just not going to dry very fast. And like I said, I'll probably sand these a little bit to pull back some of this darkness underneath. But the stippling is nice. It actually does give some texture to it. I'm trying to just stipple wherever the paint looks a little wet so it doesn't drip. It's as simple as that, just taking thrift store finds and turning them into something completely different. Different color. If you like the shape of something, the color can always be changed. I'll be back in a little while when these dry. We're going to get started on another coat. I decided I'm going to put a little bit of the Take Green on this piece here, and also charcoal. So I do still have a tad bit of white paint on my, usually I rinse them out, but I'm not doing it this time. I'm just gonna dab a little bit to stipple it on. It's where you just kind of pounce. I do like the way this is turning out though. I do like the texture it added with the stippling, and then I didn't even have to add any compound to it, but it has some texture already as opposed to being smooth like, you know, a vinyl planter or something like that. And then once this dries, I am going to pounce a little bit more white on just to give it some variation and soften up some of this. I might have needed more of a black color. I'm not really sure, but we're just gonna go with what we have. This is a tad dark. This has a lot of detail in there. I'm hoping to get that to show up a bit more. Just a little dark on the insides. I do like the way this is turning out. It does have a lot more detail now that it's been painted, as opposed to the brown color that it was. And if you feel like you're getting too much, you could always dab your paintbrush onto the paper towel. Like that looks a little dark to me right there. So I probably should have just dabbed. I actually like the way that is with the little bit of white that was still on the brush and the gray. Actually, because that softened the charcoal a lot more. I'll just keep dabbing around so it looks a little consistent. Do the base. Is anybody else getting their stuff ready for fall decorating? It's hard to wait sometimes. You get so excited. So that is definitely what we're going to be working on. I need to get this house put together, get the fall decorating done, clean up the house. I used to clean my house before I decorated all the time, and then I'd have to go back and have to re-vacuum everything. Everything needed wiped off again. So, I mean, unless it's really bad. I took the things off my dresser in my bedroom earlier. That's the one I will definitely say that area is kind of a bit densely packed fancy. a lot of stuff. So I've been kind of dusting around it, and I took off some of the florals and things that I wasn't going to keep on there for the fall. And I was quite surprised how much dust has accumulated around my antique picture frames that are there leaning against the mirror. It's just, yeah, so some things may need to be dusted first. Probably mostly that and a little bit in the bedroom, but everything else pretty much gets dusted regularly. But we live in the country and it gets pretty dusty out here for some reason. Well, I think that's looking good. We'll let that dry. Let's see, which one are we gonna get back to? This one? Actually, I don't know if you can see the texture on that. I don't know, I'm debating on keeping this. It almost looks like concrete, but I guess I should probably try to get a little bit more texture on this area. I didn't even realize there were leaves underneath the flowers until I held it up to the camera. Well, let's dab a bit on, just a little bit. I also brought out my take green because I think once my artichoke dries, I may be adding a little bit of green to it. So I'm going to kind of dry brush this. Instead, I wiped my brush on the paper towel. So many things to learn when you're a new YouTuber and have never really used cameras either. Okay, we're just going to try to dab a little, very lightly, and see if we can bring out some of the detail on this. It's hard when you kind of like something the way it is, but then you wonder if you should do a little more. I don't know. Well, that does give it a little more texture. I guess we're going to go with it. I could always go back to the color it was. Just dab a little here and there, get a little bit of emphasis. Sometimes with painting, you wish you did more, and sometimes you wish maybe you did less on a project. It's hard to tell sometimes. That is the one thing I do like about adding layers of color, because you do get a lot of dimension. See, I have a bit too much right in the center there. I'm probably gonna have to go back. Well, I'll be going back and adding a little bit of white, so I could always touch up any area that I feel got too dark. Actually, I did like it the other way too. What do you guys think? You have to let me know in the comments whether you would have left it. I guess we'll just see what it's like when it's done. It's kind of sponge painted now. Okay, well, that's good enough. We'll just leave that for now. Over here. And this, I think I'm just going to leave this. It looks like a soft concrete kind of. It doesn't have much detail, so I don't think there's any point in going any farther with that one. And this does have a little bit of texture, so I think we're going to do the same thing to it and just see what it looks like. I'm just going to be much softer this time with my technique. Wipe my brush till it's almost a dry brushing. I think I'll start at the base, just to be very faint. Yeah, that looks kind of good. And then when I go back in with a white, I mean, it'll look more blended. We're just doing this till we can blend it. So it only takes seconds. If you've never used chalk paint before, it's actually kind of fun. Fast, simple. Once you start, sometimes you start looking around your house once you've gotten into chalk painting, trying to figure out what else you can paint. Yeah, just put a very light coat on your brush and then dab it on the paper towel. And then you can just use a really light touch. I have a Lazy Susan somewhere. I saw somebody's channel where they used a Lazy Susan and it made it so much easier to, like for cake decorating or crafting, to turn their projects around. So I might have to find that. It's probably in the basement. I don't craft that often, but it would be handy. Yeah, this one's just looking simple. Actually, I kind of like that one. And sometimes when you're done, you might just stop where you were at and not even go farther. Yeah, I think the artichoke is the only one I'm going to add green to. Since we're doing all these projects, I thought I'd show you this. I don't know if you know what a product called Rub and Buff is. I just found out about this product maybe a couple years ago. I love this stuff. I have used it on all my frames, my picture frames from the thrift store to give them more of a consistent antique look. But here, these are sort of funny. They're just fat little quail. And actually, I have two of them. When you look at the top, they were white, so I just used some Rub and Buff on them. They're one of my favorites. I just keep the two little birds on my dresser at springtime in the spring, and nobody can know because they're high up. What we're going to do, I wasn't sure. I got these on clearance, like a gold acorn last year. They definitely are, as you can see, a bit bright. I got out my Rub and Buff stash, and we're going to work on these. Sometimes I use my fingers. I also have a brush that I use to stipple to get into details. These don't look very detailed, so I'm going to try to do that. I have the color European gold, Grecian gold. Usually I'll put them on a paper plate, or here I have a plastic bowl. I'm just going to squirt some in here, and usually I mix them, the two colors, to kind of get what I'm wanting. I also use these on frame that my husband and I made for my Samsung TV, the frame. I used Rub and Buff. First I stained it. Usually I don't stain something before I Rub and Buff it, but that one I decided to stain, and then we used the Rub and Buff. There'll be an upcoming tutorial on that soon. Right now it's still not installed. It's actually, if you saw my last video on overwhelm, the frame is actually behind my couch in the living room, the pieces, and underneath the pieces of frame, there are about 12 pieces of flooring left over from the grandkids' room when we made the flooring for that. So upstairs we don't really have our stair rail in yet, and there are a bunch of boxes in the hallway. And since we only have one closet in the house, it just makes it difficult to figure out where to put some things. And a little bit goes a long way. I actually probably put way too much in here. But these don't have much texture, but for a frame, yeah, these little ones go really far. I also used it on the frame for my bathroom mirror, but that's not installed either. I actually bought a picture from Restore that was huge because our bathroom mirror was thrifted for $5, and the mirror is quite large. To buy wood trim to do a frame that large is kind of costly. For our frame TV, I knew I would not. We have a 65-inch TV. I knew we weren't going to find a picture that large. So I bought the largest one I could at Restore at the time. It was $20. If you guys have priced trim, you know how expensive it is. I don't remember what we paid for each piece. And I think we needed 3 pieces, 3 or 4 for our TV. Took the print out. I was gonna say I didn't care for the print, but actually I had that same exact print. It's like a mansion with flowers from Home Interiors way back in the day. So I actually had that same exact print, maybe not quite that large. I took the print out, and now the frame is just waiting to be put on the mirror. Hopefully those will be some upcoming videos soon. I hope this year for Christmas. This will be our second Christmas since we've been in our home, and I'm really hoping that we can get that done maybe. I don't know if any of you have husbands that work a lot of hours. My husband's work is mandatory 60 hours every week, but he's in charge there, so a lot of times he's doing way more than 60. Right now we're not getting too much done on our outside projects. To ask him, can you please put the frame on my TV while we're doing 2 big outdoor projects? That's not going to happen right now, but that will be exciting when that happens. That'll kind of complete the living room. Tell me in the comments if you guys have any projects that you haven't quite finished, or materials that just kind of lay around your house for weeks, months, and even years. Tell me what your projects are. Tell me what you're trying to work on, what you want to do to your home. If you have an old home or if you have a new home that you would like it to look more vintage. Well, that's a lot less shiny. I don't know if you could tell the difference. Look at the difference. It just dulls it down. I probably should have got out my Christmas ornaments because I bought some shiny bells at Hobby Lobby when they were like 50% or so off, maybe more. And I really wanted to string them with some velvet ribbon, maybe for the mantle or a wreath. And yeah, they're on the shiny side like this. So I have so much Rub and Buff in there, I will probably have to go down and get those later and do those also. That just looks so much better. There, it just makes this look more vintage, this instead of just shiny and new. Could layer it to give a little texture. Yeah, I think it's actually okay with even a little bit of the shininess showing through. Hopefully I'll be using these in my fall decor. I think I will now that they look so much better. We'll go on to the next one. Do you guys decorate in certain colors for fall? I know I used to always be traditional, just, you know, orange. I don't know, I was trying to branch out. I debated this year. I got the softest pink, like a blush color candles that are twirled. I don't know what the name of those are, but they are so pretty, and I thought of incorporating them in my fall decor. I have everything out, kind of looking at it. Yeah, it's funny, I took it out while some of the paint's been drying, and I used to have at least 7 or 8 totes. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but now I'm actually down to 3. Almost 2 totes are florals. You can tell I have a flower addiction. Pretty faux florals. I try not to get anything that looks cheap. I've been revising my stash here and there to make sure they look kind of realistic. My allergies are kind of bad with certain things, so even though I have a lovely English garden, floral garden, I can't bring any of the things into my home. Right now I dried a few hydrangeas that are underneath a cloche. I actually saw that on Graceful Living on her YouTube channel. I thought it was just so pretty, the dried hydrangeas in the cloche. I've had cloches for a while and I kind of never know what to do with them. They've just kind of been in my basement. Downsizing the decor has been a necessity, and also just the styles just don't work with this house. I just really love everything I've been getting for my home now. It feels so much more like it goes with the home, so much more me rather than, you know, like you went to the big box store and got things. Yeah, usually it doesn't take too much Rub and Buff, which it really didn't, but I'm kind of adding a bit more on these because they were definitely on the extreme shiny side. Yeah, I'd say that looks similar to the other one. It's dulled down a whole lot with just a tiny bit peeking through. I think that's enough of the Rub and Buff. That was the only thing I wanted to do. So let's get back to adding a little bit more white. I think this is dried. More white to the unicorn. Oh my gosh. Too many grandchildren things in my mind. More white on this artichoke to tone that down a little bit. Just covering that Rub and Buff. There's a tiny bit left. I never want to waste that. I always find something. Oh, I forgot about this actually. I think I was going to do this gold. This raven. Okay, well we'll get back to that. All right. I knew I had that there for a reason. Let's just do the white on this and the white on this one. And tone that down a little bit. Now that's normally how fast chalk paint dries. That gray was just extremely runny being in the basement. I guess chalk paint may not last for 7 years. Oh, a fun trick. In between painting, keep your paint supplies in a baggie in the refrigerator. I also do that with paint trays. I usually get like one of those grocery bags from Dollar General. Slip it on. Another great thing to save, we use paint liners. I love paint liners. We used to rinse the paint trays, everything. Now we use paint liners, and then it comes about 7 or 8 in a pack, I believe, at Home Depot, and it comes in a plastic bag with a zipper, and you can, I save that and use that to slip my paint tray in, or you can use a Dollar General bag, but either way, it's kind of handy. We have a refrigerator in the garage, so that's where the paint trays can go when we're doing outside projects. But if they're inside, then half the time I have baggies in my fridge with little paint supplies in them. And the white should help with a little bit of highlights. This is the linen white. I would say 95% of my chalk paint is Rust-Oleum. It's very budget friendly. We get it at Menards. I'm sure there's other people that carry the Rust-Oleum brand. This time I'm going to stipple my brush on the paper towel. Get rid of a little bit of the gray. Yeah, sometimes you wonder, should I have just kept it the way it was? When you first start dabbing, sometimes it may not look as good as you think. You can't really go wrong. Every piece will look unique. Yeah, I think by using the paper towel, it really helps flood this out a lot better. I'll just insert some close-up pictures when I'm done with all this. I don't know if I said in the beginning, I am a new YouTuber, so I'm still getting used to cameras, making sure things are blinking and still recording and not running out of battery or accidentally not pressing record. That would have been the video that will be popping on YouTube today. So, well, I didn't forget to press record. What actually happened was I had started and stopped so many times getting it set up that I thought I had pushed it down for record, and I didn't. So I lost about the first 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah, I like the way that's looking. I just think the top needs, maybe if I brush it like that, will help blend that a little bit better. Yeah, that looks better. It's more blended in, where it's more noticeable, the different colors. It has a little more, some has less. I will have to definitely insert some close-up pictures. I apologize. Raven, and then we'll be done. Please let me know in the comments below if you're going to chalk paint anything, or for fall, Christmas, any projects you've put off, things that you don't like that are in your basement, or just sitting around your house that you kind of liked it, don't know why you bought it. I need to leave a little more dark in the crevices, I think, so that this looks a little more natural, and just let the highlights be kind of on the top a little bit more. And I will definitely insert some still pictures of all of these when I'm done. Let me know what your favorite project was that I did. If you've ever heard of Rub and Buff before, if you've tried it. I even got a glass and brass coffee table off of Facebook Marketplace. And they said it was a young college girl. I've been looking for a vintage one for over a year and could not find one. So I just broke down and got this one. It's still very pretty and it looks a little vintage, but she still had where the stickers were on it. And I took the stickers off and the color wasn't really, it didn't look like gold anymore, so I used Rub and Buff on several areas and doctored it up, and it turned out just fine. It's funny how you can blend this stuff on anything. Ooh, this is looking better. Wow. I'm happy I did this one. Well, that's what Krista said over at Meeker Home and DIY, to just trust the process, because it feels like it's not turning out, and then it starts getting some depth and actually looking better. I could see this looking like concrete now. I think I should just put a ribbon on the bottom. Everything looks better with a ribbon. Okay, I think, the one little spot right there, maybe. I think that's good. I will get some close-ups of this. With the pictures you'll see it actually does look like concrete. Yeah, let me know which was your favorite project that I did today out of the DIYs. And I still have one more thing that we're going to do to those pictures that I got off of Dollar Tree that I rematted, the canvas. I am going to add just some of the tacky glue. I have Mod Podge downstairs, but I forgot to grab it. So I think I'm going to add that to it. I think that will really give it just a little bit more texture. So I'm excited to try that. Have any of you guys ever done that technique, adding the either Mod Podge, or I think some people even use Elmer's glue. Have any of you guys done that? Let's see, maybe I'll give him a lot more when he's gold. What are you guys thinking? The black just feels, I like black because sometimes a little black in a room really balances your room, but I don't know. I've had him black for a few years. Like I said, he is from Hobby Lobby. I'm not really wanting any of my things to look like they came from the store, like certain linens or other things you can get from there. Anything that's kind of timeless. Yeah, definitely shop there. I get like ribbon from there, Joann Fabrics, velvet ribbon. Things that are just not going to look like you've just purchased them, like they've always been in your home. That's another thing I'm always on the lookout for at the thrift stores. I actually need to visit antique stores more. But at the thrift stores, artwork, but it's really hard to find. I only have 2 old pieces, and one was at a garage sale and one was at a thrift store, and one was $1 and one was like $3, and the $3 one is really big. So, oops, I'm sorry, I really need to hold this in the frame. I apologize. I'll put it back down there. See, a little goes a long way. I'm still dabbing out of that little bit that's pretty much gone in the bottom. There, I'm just going to kind of rub it in now to get in the texture, like I did the birds. Yeah, this will probably be a keeper now. My daughter almost had it. I probably will need to add just a little bit more Rub and Buff to this because it was really low when I started, and he is kind of big. I would love to hear what you guys are doing, what projects you're working on in your home, in your life, anything that you're trying to change, make better. Oh, I just got a little bit of white paint on my little raven. I laid him on near the stir stick, I guess. I just rub and buff it right out. There we go. Well, I'm definitely going to have to add just a tiny bit more. Well, I am very excited to get my house back in order. It's kind of been a little bit of a hot mess lately with all the projects we're working on outside and the time spent learning new things. Might even be, that's probably enough for the screws over on the mantle as well. Okay, let's just get this out of the way for now. Yes, definitely be excited to get back to using this dining room table again. Just a little black showing. I can always go back and totally make sure I've got everything. I have to think about it. Sometimes it's good to just do part of the project and live with it and see what you think. Leaving a little black might kind of makes them look a little bit older, I think. Huh, I don't know if you can see there's some black on his wing still. I apologize about the photography. I will leave those close-up pictures for you guys. Well, after this, there's only one more to finish. Oops. And if you get it too thick, just spread it around. This dries very fast. I don't wax it or put anything on it when it's done. I just leave it as is. Now maybe people will think he's brass. I saw a really pretty solid brass, like duck decoy kind of thing. That was beautiful at a yard sale, and I didn't get it. And then I went back to get it, and it was gone like a half hour later. I'm not really into ducks though. Sometimes it's hard when you see people decorating on YouTube and certain things look lovely. You see things in other people's homes and you think, oh, maybe they'll go in mine, and they don't. You have to just stay true to your style. I usually watch other decorators on YouTube that I love, and some of their stuff will look very good in my home, and some things just don't go. I mean, I would love to be maybe a little more simple, but I'm not. Maybe not quite so many things. I've heard a term densely packed fancy, but yeah, I can never be a minimalist. I love decor too much. All right, well, we're just going to smooth this out just a little bit. If I had a Lazy Susan, I could just turn it around and kind of view it. And then I try to make sure it doesn't look like any smear marks or anything like that, any stroke marks. We can always do more later. All right, gonna go wash this rub and buff off my hands again, and we'll be on to the last project, podging the Dollar Tree pictures. Boy, I'm gonna have a big mess to clean up later. I have so many quarts of paint up here. I'm going to take this off so we don't get any paint on our frames. At least I could get the paint back in the basement. And here's my tacky glue. I know I have a little paintbrush here somewhere. I kind of need one with bristles. All I have are these sponge ones. I got these a long time ago for some kind of project, and okay, I'm just bringing you guys along on this journey with me. I am so thankful I went upstairs. I have 3 SD cards now. I ordered one that has a lot of storage, and that's in my main camera, and I ordered one more, came with another used camera I got, and then I had a spare one upstairs. I had one for each camera, and I had ordered a large one. Anyway, one of my smaller ones was filled for my other camera, and I also ordered a lot of extra batteries, so I promise you things will get better as I learn this craft, and the photography will get better, everything will improve. So I appreciate your guys' patience with me. I'm just gonna kind of pounce it, I think. Yeah, that's good, kind of And then maybe I'll just use my finger to make like, oh here, you can actually smear it, like, I shouldn't say smear, it makes brush stroke marks with it. Actually this brush might not be too bad. And then just leave a little texture like you're just going back and forth, maybe some swirls back and forth as if you were painting, although I would not know what that's like because I can't even draw a circle. And then just probably leave a little bit of texture here and there on it. And then when it'll dry, I should probably leave a little bit more on the flower areas. Maybe it'll look like strokes a little bit. Yeah, if you guys used this technique before, let me know how you liked it, how you did yours. Trying to just get the area where I think there might be more strokes. There's a lot of detail on the blue vase. Alright, and when that dries, I will come back in the end and I will give you guys some final project shots on all of this. Oh, it really shows up in the camera. It doesn't show up very well when you're kind of doing it. I can see it much more on the black. That's probably why it really shows up, the strokes on the black background a little more. I should have left that little lump there, that looked good. I have a couple of prints that I ordered off of Etsy that I had enlarged from a framing place about almost 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. A year ago. When we first moved here, I just could not find any antique prints that I liked. Everything just looked like it came from Home Interior in the day. That's kind of like what you're finding at the thrift stores a lot. Finding artwork is very hard to find in a thrift store, so I really need to start frequenting some more estate sales and antique stores now that I've minimized my decor a lot and just select things, be more selective. Well, that definitely looks painted. Good thing this dries clear. I don't know if I should dab. I might dab just a teeny bit more on this one. Maybe I wasn't liberal enough with it. Well, everybody, I think we're done for today. Thanks for coming along with me on our little DIY crafting. I will see you next week.